When those you trusted to stand by you vanish, how do you cope when even your own blood reveals the limits of loyalty? Just a minute before, the music mogul appeared visibly anxious in the courtroom as Jesse and Delilah Combs, Diddy's twin daughters, chose not to testify in his defense. The twins' unexpected position caught everyone off guard. All eyes were on the defense attorney as he navigated the courtroom, but the atmosphere shifted when he revealed that his key witnesses were backing out of the case. The room fell silent, and even the judge was taken aback. Diddy felt a sharp pang in his chest and struggled to catch his breath, realizing his girls had left him vulnerable. It was unexpected, unannounced, simply Diddy stepping into the spotlight. A change had come over Diddy, who had stayed composed throughout the trial until that moment. Maybe it was the image of the twins settling into their seats at the back of the courtroom instead of at the defense table. Maybe it was the moment he realized that even family loyalty has its boundaries, and he had crossed them. Maybe it was the moment when the carefully constructed image of a devoted parent came crashing down for all to see. Diddy was done with acting, whatever that entailed. He sat there not as a celebrity, but as a father proud of his daughter's choices. The courtroom was caught off guard by Diddy's reaction when the defense counsel announced that their witness list would have to be revised due to unforeseen family issues. That moment revealed the unraveling of family bonds, the weight of the evidence, and the man's isolation following the embrace of his loyal followers, leaving a profound impact. It acted as a warning story. Stay updated with the latest breaking news and detailed coverage of significant cases like this. Subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying the story. A profound betrayal has unfolded within the walls of this federal courtroom. Reporters are eager to grasp the events that have unfolded within, and the tension is unmistakable. The trial's first day unfolded just like the rest. The defense team quieted the room as they readied to present character witnesses for Diddy. The press settled into their designated spots, while attorneys whispered their strategies. The mood changed as the tense attorney Marcus Bennett approached the bench. The sound of a pin dropping echoed. Some viewed it as merely a straightforward procedural matter. Some expected the typical delay. It was clear something had shifted when Diddy suddenly stood up in his chair and looked back at his daughters in the courtroom. As the judge raised an eyebrow, Diddy's confident facade faltered, revealing a vulnerability akin to a man watching his last chance fade away. Diddy gripped the table's edge, his knuckles pale and tense, avoid making eye contact. The lawyers nervously reviewed their witness list, yet he didn't spare them a moment's attention. "Your Honor, we need to discuss our witness schedule with the court," Bennett began, his voice surprisingly soft. Bennett returned to his defense table following a brief sidebar, concluding with the judge's solemn nod. The trial took a dramatic turn from that point on. What's the reason the events that unfolded were never meant to be part of a legal strategy? It wasn't a deliberate decision. A long internal battle led to a daughter's ultimate moral choice. Bennett addressed the judge with a calm and deliberate tone. "Your Honor, we need to revise our list of witnesses. Jesse and Delilah Combs will not be attending as planned." All eyes in the courtroom turned to the 17-year-old twins seated in the back row as Bennett began to speak. They sat there, a blend of seriousness and determination. Rather than looking at their father, they gazed ahead. Onlookers and fans congregated outside the courthouse, unaware that it was Diddy's family, not the prosecution, who had delivered the most crushing blow to his defense within. In a striking response, Diddy's body reacted swiftly to the implications of this development. He began to struggle with his breathing. He clutched his tie as if it were tightening around his throat. The confident music mogul's meticulously built facade ultimately fell apart in court. Understanding Diddy's reputation as a family man is essential to appreciate the significance of the twins' decision. Sean Diddy Combs long portrayed himself as a devoted father to his 6 children from different relationships. Lavish birthday celebrations, graduation festivities, and family getaways on opulent yachts filled his social media feed. Diddy's private life offers a captivating glimpse, often featuring his twin daughters, Jesse and Delilah, born in 2006 to model Kim Porter and Diddy. Diddy often presented himself as the devoted father, stepping into the role left vacant by their mother. Following Porter's tragic passing in 2018, he announced to the reporters that he is now a full-time father. "I wholeheartedly accept this role, honoring the promise I made to Kim. To polish his image as a savvy entrepreneur, Diddy has emphasized his role as a devoted parent in recent years. Red carpet appearances, Instagram updates, and carefully arranged family snapshots featuring him and the twins attracted significant media attention. As Diddy's legal troubles began to accumulate, his defense appeared straightforward. Depict him as a devoted family man, with his children vouching for his integrity. The twins were listed as character witnesses the defense planned to call. As per court records, prosecutors aimed for these celebrities to reveal the cold, heartless image they had crafted of Diddy by testifying against him. His role as a devoted father, the grief from their mother's death, his involvement in extracurriculars, and his mentorship would all be topics of discussion. As the trial progressed and new evidence emerged, a shift occurred. Sources suggest that Diddy and his daughters are experiencing growing tensions in their relationship. At 17, as their identities and ideals began to form, the twins started to pose challenging questions about the accusations. A former associate of Diddy provided evidence that was highly damaging and contradicted the accounts Diddy shared with his children, which these individuals deemed the final straw. Present for this evidence were the twins who occasionally attended the trial. Witnesses reported that they exited the courtroom clearly shaken. In their youth, they absorbed specific stories about their father. A close relative expressed to the press that hearing those narratives confronted with evidence was profoundly upsetting for them. Reports indicate that the twins shared a deep and heartfelt conversation with their godmother, a dear friend of their mother's. The night before their testimony, the specifics of the conversation remain confidential, but the following morning, their lawyer informed the defense that Jesse and Delilah would not be providing their planned testimony. Bennett, the defense attorney, sought to influence their choice by emphasizing the implications is for their father's case. We cannot express beliefs that no longer resonate with us. Was the response clear, yet rigid sources from the courtroom indicate that no rushed decision was made. These teens were anything but impulsive. Instead, they were young women contemplating the ethics of betraying their families to preserve their own dignity. Observers in the courtroom could sense their internal struggle for days before they ultimately chose to withdraw as witnesses. Rather than taking their usual seats behind the defense table that morning, they chose to sit at the back of the room, reflecting the emotional gap that had developed between them and their father. With impeccable posture and calm expressions, the twins' clasped hands revealed their hidden tension. Bennett informed the court about the changes to the witness list, asserting that, for them, this did not amount to treachery. Regrettably, they had to confront the reality that they could no longer support a narrative they had begun to doubt. Diddy felt more pain from the lack of support from his daughters than from any evidence presented by former business associates. Before a jury left to ponder its meaning, it marked the unraveling of the family man persona he had carefully crafted. The defense calls Jesse and Delilah Combs to the stand. Bennett was set to make an announcement that morning. Their presence as twin girls would have provided their father with a unique, relatable identity that no outsider could replicate. Bennett, however, found himself in an uncomfortable stance before the court. Your Honor, we have an update regarding our witness list. We won't be reaching out to Jesse and Delilah Combs right now. The judge peered over her spectacles. The witnesses you listed were crucial to your defense strategy. Counselor, could you please share the reason for this change? Bennett cleared his throat. At this moment, they are not available. Your Honor, Prosecutor Sarah Mitchell leapt to her feet immediately. Your Honor, the witnesses in question are undoubtedly here in the courtroom. The jury deserves to know the reasons behind the withdrawal of witnesses. Bennett captivated the judge's attention. After a brief pause, Bennett addressed the court, stating, Your Honor, Miss Jessie and Miss Delilah Combs have chosen not to testify, as they are not under subpoena and were only voluntary character witnesses. We should honor their choice. The courtroom trembled at this revelation. As he leaned in to whisper to his lawyer, Diddy suddenly froze, his face shifting from surprise to a growing display of distressing physical discomfort. The prosecutor continued his questioning. Your Honor, since these witnesses were deemed crucial for shedding light on the defendant's character and family life key aspects of the defense strategy, their withdrawal is particularly significant. The judge took this into account. Mr. Bennett, were other options explored, Like a deposition or a written statement, Bennett's reaction spoke volumes. "We considered those options. Your Honor, the witnesses refused to provide any testimony." Diddy's health was evidently deteriorating as the debate progressed. He began to struggle with his breath. He loosened his tie and began to drink water from a trembling glass. The judge observed his anguish. "Mr. Bennett, does your client require medical assistance?" Diddy jumped up abruptly, swaying just a bit. Before Bennett had a chance to reply, "I need to talk to my daughters," he said, his voice trembling. "I just need 5 minutes with them." The judge simply shook her head in silence. "Mr. Combs, kindly take a seat. This isn't the right moment to interrupt with unfamiliar words." Diddy showcased the extent of his unraveling in a remarkable breach of courtroom decorum. "They've received information that was taken out of context. I must clarify." The judge's voice rang out with authority as she declared, "Mr. Combs, sit down at once or you will be removed from this courtroom." Diddy leaned back in his chair, his eyes fixed on his children in the back row as the court officials approached. They gazed ahead, avoiding their father's eyes, and remained completely still. The court allowed a quick 15-minute break. Breathing heavily, Diddy was led to a side room as the court session came to a close. A medical officer was instructed to check his vitals. Reports from the courts indicate that the twins, along with their godmother and a family attorney, were spotted conferring closely in a private conference room during the break. The burden of their decision showed clearly on their young faces. Diddy appeared wan and serious at the start of court, yet he had visibly bounced back. The twins returned to their seats, maintaining their distance. Bennett returned to the bench. The defense requests to call our next witness, Mr. James Reynolds, a longtime business associate who isn't part of the family, stepped up as the alternate character witness. Regrettably, the moment had passed. The lack of Diddy's daughters, expected to support him in court, conveyed a powerful message to the jury. Several onlookers observed that the music mogul seemed barely engaged, while Reynolds spoke about Diddy's charitable efforts and financial acumen. As he reflected on the daughters, their silence resonated louder than any words of defense they might have spoken, drawing his gaze toward them. The twins' decision to step back as witnesses was not made in isolation. During the trial, testimony and evidence aligned, revealing Diddy as someone who is obsessed with control in all areas of his life, beyond just his role as a demanding businessman. As the defense worked to bounce back from the morning setback, this topic resurfaced in the afternoon session during the cross-examination of Reynolds, the alternate character witness. The prosecution inquired of Mr. Reynolds about his testimony regarding Mr. Combs' business practices and charitable endeavors. How does Mr. Combs usually react when faced with disagreement, or when his requests are turned down? Reynolds shifted uncomfortably. Sean has a distinct approach to getting things done. He maintains exceptional standards, elevated expectations. Mitchell inquired once more. Do you think he anticipates total loyalty and obedience from those in his circle? Leading objection. Bennett made a gesture. The court had declared it sustained. Mitchell altered the inquiry. How does Mr. Combs react when his expectations fall short? Reynolds took a moment. He may feel let down, assertively conveying that letdown. Mitchell echoed. Powerful. Could you provide the jury with an example of this powerful expression of disappointment? Reynolds clearly linked the day's earlier events as she shared a story about a music video director who faced public reprimand for defying Diddy's vision. This was a man accustomed to commanding everything around him, including the narratives woven about his own family. Witnesses at Diddy's trial spoke about his need for ongoing oversight of his public image, business, and team. Former workers testified that strict non-disclosure agreements were in place. Meetings involved collecting phones, and anyone who disobeyed faced penalties. A playbook was in place. During the trial, a former assistant revealed that everything had to align with his vision and adhere to his rules. Deviation was unacceptable. The witness stated that the individual carefully orchestrated every aspect of his public and private life. In line with that strategy, he carefully curated his social media profiles to present himself as a devoted parent, crafting a narrative that seemed to be his own life story. For Diddy, it was a first when the twins chose to step back as witnesses. He found himself unable to steer his family's narrative, as the story he had crafted around them excluded their very essence. During a brief lunch break, Reporters observed Diddy and Bennett in a heated exchange. The body language spoke volumes, even without the sound of words. Diddy made a bold move toward his girls' seats, while Bennett shook his head emphatically. Bennett returned to the bench for another quick sidebar as court resumed. It was a common assumption, and his expression at the defense table confirmed it. The twins were set in their ways, with no plans for reconciliation or a sudden change of mind. Diddy appeared to be drifting as the afternoon testimony unfolded, touching on company operations and charitable contributions. His renowned focus and attention to detail, the foundation of his empire, were noticeably absent. In contrast, he appeared distracted, occasionally glancing at his children, who stayed serene and detached. The courtroom dynamics unfolded a compelling story of a family in turmoil, showcasing a young woman's ethical struggle and a father's realization of his limitations. The jurors gained insights from the unfolding family drama that no witness could provide. The twins chose silence over the witness stand, their presence in the courtroom conveying more than any words could express. A longtime business associate took the stand as the defense's final witness, highlighting Diddy's entrepreneurial drive and commitment to supporting Black-owned businesses as the court day wrapped up. While the testimony was solid, it didn't stir the deep emotions the defense had clearly hoped for from the twins' presence. The courtroom corridor emerged as the backdrop for what witnesses described as Diddy's breaking point during the final recess before closing arguments were set to begin. Diddy approached the twins as they prepared to leave with their godmother and lawyer, under the watchful gaze of the court security guards. "Just give me 5 minutes," he pleaded, his voice revealing a hint of vulnerability beneath his usual strength. Diddy was halted by the twins' godmother. A firm, "This isn't the time or place," escaped her lips. "They've reached a conclusion." "They're my daughters," Diddy declared, his voice rising. They failed to grasp the gravity of the situation. It was Delilah who spoke, her voice low yet clear to those nearby. "We know precisely what's on the line. That's why we can't proceed," Jesse added. "We care for you, Dad, but we can't express what you're hoping to hear. Not after all we've been told." With a shift in Diddy's expression, the security team moved in closer. Onlookers were concerned he might truly snap for a moment. "Your mother would never have let this happen," he said, his voice thick with sorrow. The twins remained silent, but their godmother's voice cut through the air, icy and laced with restrained fury. "Don't even think about using Kim like that. She would have safeguarded these girls fiercely, even from you." A crowd of reporters and court attendees witnessed this pivotal discussion, marking the moment when Diddy's defense strategy and the carefully crafted image of family unity he had presented to the world began to unravel. When court resumed, it was evident to all that Diddy had changed significantly. The confident swagger had disappeared. He stopped communicating with his lawyers secretly. He remained motionless, his eyes locked forward, confronting at last the reality of his own helplessness. Bennett wrapped up with a logically sound argument, yet it lacked emotional impact, suggesting that Diddy deserves recognition for his cultural and commercial successes. A bland listing of achievements took the place of the heartfelt plea that was meant to end with the poignant sight of devoted daughters vouching for their father's integrity. In a departure from the norm, Diddy remained still and expressionless during Bennett's closing argument, a stark contrast to the typical attorney-client dynamic aimed at engaging the jury. He exuded a sense of seclusion while navigating the profound public humiliation he faced. Bennett wrapped up his case as the judge announced that the prosecution would deliver their final arguments the following morning. The twins rose to their feet and left the courtroom, not glancing back at their father. Diddy watched them leave, his expression revealing his true feelings. He bowed his head into his hands, a gesture of total surrender, captured by courtroom sketch artists who would later adorn front pages nationwide. The father's response revealed profound sadness, rooted in the loss of his children's trust and support, rather than a focus on legal tactics. As the courtroom emptied, legal experts congregated in the corridor, reassessing their previous verdict predictions. One analyst noted that the defense faced a significant setback when the twins declined to testify. Their silence served as the most powerful character testimony imaginable. The courtroom was packed to the brim the following morning. The twins' refusal to testify sparked overnight reports, igniting speculation about the cases and the possible fates of the witnesses.